Hi, everyone. My name is Kelly Boyer. I am the founder of Transformative Healing and also SheRises, Amplify, and Thrive for six-figure success. That's a mouthful, I know. But I also in 2025 will be launching a new program I'm super excited about. It is called SheRises, Amplify, and Thrive Live Speaker Series. Yes, that's right. Uh, every week I'm going to have these amazing healers, spiritual masters, gurus, visionaries, change makers, you name it. I'm going to have them on it. And they're going to be sharing their wisdom, their guidance, their messaging, their healing, whatever it is that they have to share. They're going to be sharing that with all of you. And then the beautiful thing is that if you decide to work with one of our amazing speakers, whoever it may be, 5% of each sale is going back. We're going to give back to the world. We're going to be donating that to a humanitarian cause of the month. So every month it'll be a different cause so that we can make sure that we're really creating positive impact on a global scale. So I'm very excited about that. Stay tuned because there will be more information coming out. So if you are interested in that, please be sure to register so that you get all of the most updated information. But most importantly, when it does launch, that you are on that list so that you can be part of it and, be able to log in and, catch the wisdom and guidance and actually the magic from those speakers. So you have to be registered in order to be part of it. So make sure that you do register, and I'll have that registration link below. Ooh, all right. So I am a psychology nerd. I talk about being a psychology nerd all the time, but here is what I love about it is that psychology and spirituality really do come together. They meld together. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about how that can happen in regards to healing. So whether you are healing just your life in general, whether you're doing healing because you want to step into the healing business, whatever it is, everything always usually comes back down to healing. Oh, I have a trigger, I need to heal it. So let's talk a little bit about that process. I just want to share some information with you. But most importantly, I really want to talk about the beauty of our superconscious or higher mind, however you resonate with that. But our superconscious it's a powerhouse. Like it's amazing the things that it can do. So we'll talk a little bit more on how we can tap into that beautiful, I'm going to say that beautiful source of energy that we have. We all have it. We all have a higher mind, a super conscious. But it's really about tapping into it to learn how to work with it for our own healing purposes. But let's talk about some of the other things that we have. So the thing that is so awesome, in my opinion, about psychology is we have the conscious mind, we have the subconscious mind, we have the higher mind or super conscious mind. And believe it or not, all three of those are really important for our healing. So, and truth be told, our ego actually communicates with, our ego will communicate with all three of those, but our ego oftentimes influences two of those minds that we have. So let's kind of just start off. So when we talk about things that trigger us or things that, our wounds or our limiting beliefs that we create within our energy, body, and field, it's actually coming in through the ego. So when frequencies come in, when we have an experience, the experience it will create a plethora of frequencies. When our ego, when our ego comes forward, which our ego does, we need our ego. It's to help us. We can train our ego. And this is one of the ways we can train our ego to bring in all the right stuff. But our ego then connects, the frequency of our ego then connects with the frequency that it is vibrating at. So a lot of times when we have experiences that are connected to trauma, our ego is then throwing out that frequency to connect whatever the frequency of that experience is projecting out. So we connect with that frequency. The ego brings it into the body. Okay. So now the body, that's when your body has that reaction. It's because the ego has brought in that frequency. Most importantly, is because it just hasn't really discerned yet what is good and what is not good for us. So it's like, oh, I'm going to bring this in. And you're like, oh, why did you do that? Well, that's part of the ego's job. And then it comes into the body. The body has a reaction to it, however that reaction may be. It may even be a freeze reaction where the body doesn't react at all, but then like 10 years later, we're having a reaction to it because the body is now finally processing it, going, it's safe to process this. And now we're experiencing, whatever it is, anxiety, depression, paranoia, which comes with fear, right? Or whatever it may be. So it comes into the body stores it. So even though we have those frequencies within the body, the mind, the conscious, logical mind is trying to process it and trying to make sense of it. Now we know that the logical mind, in the way that it's designed, it's really designed to label and categorize things. That's what it's constantly doing. When we are going in and using our logical mind, we are labeling, we are categorizing, because that's the way the logical mind makes sense, right? So, for example, we have an experience. The experience is, truthfully, and this will be hard to understand, but the experience that happens is truly neutral. It is just an experience. But the ego allows the frequency to come in. It comes into the body holds onto it. The mind then connects with the frequency in the body. And now it's trying to make sense of it. It's going, oh my gosh, this is really bad. This is really traumatic. This makes me believe that because this was the result that the perception of my perception of that result is saying, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough, or I can't do this. That I'm not good enough or I can't do this is a label that then has been categorized into this box, if you will, that says anything that connects to this frequency, I'm not good enough. It's going to pull up that frequency of I'm not good enough. I'm a failure. I'm insecure, whatever it is that comes up. Okay. So then it puts it in that little categorical box. That's what the logical mind does. And that's okay. We do have to have logic in order to move through our 3D day-to-day things. We know a very simple example is, if we decide that we're going to mop the floor, we know that the mop and the floor are the labels, and that the mop is in the category, okay, the way we categorize it in the cabinet with the cleaning solutions. I mean, that's just kind of an easy way to understand how the logical mind works. But the logical mind is always categorizing, always labeling, always doing those things because that's how it makes sense. It's just like, so a good example is my son's notorious for this. So, if you're going to, I'll go back to mopping the floor, but we do sweeping the floor. If you're going to sweep the floor, I keep the broom in the area where all of the cleaning stuff would be. So you would find the mop, you would find the solutions, you would find the window, it's in that area. So when he asked me, Mom, I can't find the broom, where is it? It's like, it's in the category where all of the cleaning solutions are. Like, so, that's just how our mind works. It's also like a bullet point. It'll also bullet point things for you too. Like, that's kind of like it creates a priority list for you. Like, I have to do this first, this second, this third. So it will also put things in chronological order for you, hence our linear thinking, right? So we have that part of our mind. So when an experience happens and we bring that in, that is truly, I'm gonna say that's kind of I'm gonna say, what are those books where it was like, for dummies, like you could do this for dummies, and I'm not calling anybody dummies. Really what they're saying, this is how it's broken down so that you can easily understand it. So we have an experience, we connect with the frequency that we vibrate at for that experience. The ego pulls it into the body holds onto it. The body then vibrates that frequency. The logical mind picks it up. The logical mind then labels, categorizes it, and puts it in that category for us. Okay. The next thing that we have is our subconscious. Now, we are not aware of our subconscious and the programs and the subroutines that it plays every day. So a good example of that is, so my routine, I'm going to share with you my routine. I wake up, I let the dogs out, I turn on my computer, I go make coffee, after I make my coffee, I go sit down for 15, 20 minutes in quiet, which I call my connection time. So I sit 15 minutes connecting with my soul essence for the day to get aligned. After that 15, 20 minutes or whatever it is that I need, I then get up and I go to my computer and I start my day working. And usually how I start my day is I'm looking at email. That is a subroutine that plays from my subconscious mind every morning. It's not very often that I deviate from that unless I have to. But let me tell you, when you deviate from the subroutine that is happening in the subconscious mind, you actually do have a physical reaction to it. So oftentimes, if we have to do something that is different outside of our routine, say in the morning, and we run out of the house and we forget an important paper, oftentimes you'll hear us say, well, my this morning was hectic. It was different than my other mornings, or I had to go here when normally I don't go anywhere, right? So what we're doing is we're expressing that experience that our body is having, because it's creating something that might be uncomfortable or something that we missed. However, the logical mind has now categorized it and labeled it, right? So our subconscious is always running. It's always playing during our waking hours, during our sleeping hours. The subconscious is always going. It does not shut off. And it takes in information of everything. So even those things that you think that you don't see, you do take it in, and it goes into the subconscious. So it can sometimes bypass the logical mind and go into the subconscious, because the logical mind doesn't believe that it's something that's important to categorize or label. Okay. That's why we miss it. But it can be absorbed into the subconscious mind. So a good example is like when you go to do hypnotherapy, okay, and then things come out from like your past or your childhood that when you come back into the conscious mind, you're like, wow, I didn't even remember that. Or we can go into past lives, because you are always bringing that energy of your subconscious mind with you in every incarnation. That's why we can see or experience or feel the frequencies of what happens in what we call past lives. Even though I'm a firm believer that it really is more like parallel lives, because the past, present, and future are all happening simultaneously. But that's why you can remember that, because the subconscious doesn't miss a thing. It is literally your storage space. It is literally the cloud that is in your head that holds on to everything. So now let's talk about kind of how trauma happens. Okay. So we have the experience, the ego brings in the experience, the body stores it, the body takes it up to the logical mind. Even when you are in a state of crisis, even when we say the logical mind shuts down, that is not true. The logical mind is really like frantically trying to categorize it and label it and place it into this box. So it can label it and put it into this box of, oh my gosh, when I experience this frequency, this is the reaction or the belief that's going to be triggered. This is what needs to play. So the subconscious then picks that up, pulls it into its little way of being, and it says, okay, this is the category, this is the message that I got, this is what I'm going to play. I'm going to play this. This is always playing. It's always playing in the background. It doesn't just go away and then pull up when something happens, but it could be very quietly or softly playing in the background. So I call that the subroutine. It's the subroutine that is playing this pattern. So now I go out to go do something, and let's say I always use public speaking because that's usually a lot of people's biggest fear. Now I have to give this speech at work in front of, it could be 10 people, it could be 150 people, who knows. So now, and like, sorry, I just want to give the caveat. The experience that happened doesn't mean anything. So the way that you remember it, all of those little details absolutely mean nothing. It really is the frequency of how you experienced it and you process it. So how did it make me feel when that happened? What emotion did it bring up? That's really the main thing. Like, a lot of times when you work with people, you can get caught in the story, but it's not the story that we're all like, honestly, where all the details is. It's the essence and the way that it made you feel and how it makes you feel now that is important to the healing. Okay. So now we have the experience, it's triggered, we categorized it. So now the subconscious is running this program. So now I have to go give this speech. And the speech of the vibration that is creating from my body is that now connects with the frequency that has now been categorized in that box from that experience that we believe is trauma. And that has the label of, oh my gosh, I'm going to fail. I'm not good at this. I can't speak. I'm going to fail. Like, this is going to be miserable. Right. And then we start telling ourselves all that. So now that belief comes up. So the subconscious is running that belief. Right. And so we know, like, we do have an awareness that this is coming up, whether we know exactly what it is, that may not be true, but the body is having a reaction. So we're having this thing. So we go to give that speech, and let's say it doesn't go the way that you wanted it to, right? And then you walk away and you're like, God, I spent hours preparing. I don't understand. I literally spent a week, every second, every moment of that day studying it. I had it memorized. I don't understand why it didn't turn out perfect, right? Well, what it is we've got this subroutine that's playing this pattern that's saying anytime those frequencies come up, I'm going to put out a frequency that says I'm going to fail you, because we are oftentimes not cognizant of what's going on in the subconscious. The subconscious is bringing that frequency forward. Anytime that frequency comes forward, we project it out. So guess what? We project it out to everyone, basically saying, whether we know it or not, like, hey, I'm going to fail this. Okay. And for the record, I don't believe in failure. Failure is non-existent in my life. I just believe it to be feedback. But anyway, so we go out there and it doesn't go as we planned. And you're like, oh, why didn't that work? We experience this a lot in relationships. Like, the question is why do I keep dating the same kind of guy? Well, there is an experience that happened that then was categorized in this box. The subconscious picked it up and said, oh, whenever a relationship is going good, or I'm going to use this to sabotage it, because in my mind, this is what it's really like my mind, the mind of your subconscious. This is really what it's supposed to be. So now it's created that pattern. Okay. So realistically, we have all these patterns and programs that are playing all the time. Some are really good. We want them. We don't want to get rid of them. Some are not so desirable. And we're like, why is it that here I am? I'm 40 something years old and I'm still, as hard as I try, I still keep falling into the same pattern. It's because the subconscious is running. So we have to heal what's in the subconscious, and we have to give it a new program. And when we give it a new program, then the logical mind will take that new program, right? Because it's got to make sense. It's got to categorize it. It will put it into a new category. Once it's in the new category, then the body experiences it and it says, oh, okay, so now this is what it's supposed to be. Once the body experiences it, then we can tell the ego, this is how it's supposed to be. These are the frequencies we want you to bring in. So that when you bring in the frequencies, the body grabs it, holds on to it. The logical mind says, oh, it's in this category. The subconscious mind picks it up and says, oh, it's this program that I'm supposed to play. And it's a really positive program and I want to keep playing it, right? So complicated, right? Yes, it very much can be. But here's the beautiful thing. We all came into this life with a connection to source. That connection to source is what we call our superconscious or your higher mind. A lot of people have different names for it. You could call it your intuition. Your intuition is part of that superconscious in that higher mind. But here's the beautiful thing is that superconscious, just like the subconscious, sees, hears everything. But the difference between the subconscious who says, oh my God, I got to do this because this, I've got to protect, this is a way of protecting, right? The superconscious has a much broader and open and objective view. It's very neutral. And that's the beautiful space. And that's where we want to be. So the more that we learn how to connect to our higher mind, our superconscious, the more neutrality we can have in our life, the less likely that like something, some experience that happens and we have a trauma about it, like it could be trauma. Our perspective is not going to see it as trauma, but it's going to pick up the frequencies of, oh, I just learned that, I just learned a better way to do that, bringing in those high vibrational frequencies back into the body. Okay. So super conscious, we have a direct connection to super conscious. Yes, you do have to work with it. You have to practice with it. You have to know your method on how to connect. We all connect differently. So how I tell you I connect more than likely is not at all going to be how you connect. This is part of our discovery process of learning. But how we learn and we discover is through that healing of understanding how that healing works. So the more that we focus on that healing that's caught in that subconscious, okay, and we can pull that and bring that into our awareness and pull that up and then go and then talk to, really what we're talking to is our subconscious, our logical mind, our body, and our ego going, oh my God, that belief is a lie, that is not true. We can then create the energy and the frequencies to start making that change. But here's the beautiful thing about the subconscious. I'm sorry, the superconscious. The more that you connect and the more that you work with your superconscious, the faster that healing can happen. Okay. So how do we do that? So first of all, let's talk about the superconscious. Your superconscious is a direct connection to source. Source has infinite information, infinite possibilities, infinite opportunities, infinite answers. Everything is infinite. So you have connection to everything that you need through your higher mind, your superconscious to source. Direct connection. So anytime that you think that you do not have the answer, I'm telling you, if you know how to work with your higher mind, you can connect to that the higher mind will be like, oh, she needs this. And the universe will say, oh, she does. Well, here it is. We're going to show it to her how it needs to be done. But I have to pay attention. It's all about awareness within yourself and how you see things. And so just know the side note for like synchronicities are the things that you notice. The person next to me might not notice it, but when it comes into your awareness and you notice it, it's a message that's coming from source, universe, into your higher mind, into your subconscious, into your logical mind, saying, here it is, pay attention to this. And then we go back through that process again. But so anyway, so the superconscious knows exactly what needs to be done to heal. I'm going to say that again. It knows exactly what needs to be done to heal that belief, heal that wound, heal that trauma. That's why a lot of times, once you work with somebody to learn how to do this, you really truly can do it yourself. So when we have this subroutine playing, okay, and then we kind of go in and we're like, ooh, I got a trigger. There's something that I need to heal. I don't really know exactly what it is, but I got to figure it out, right? So a lot of times when we get quiet and we kind of go inside and we can say, why do I feel like I'm a failure? A lot of times we might have like a memory, or it can be fuzzy, that kind of comes up. We're talking to the subconscious to say, hey, can you kind of help me out a little bit? Like, what's connected to this program of how it was created? So you may get an idea and you may be like, God, I never even thought about that. But Back when I was in grade school or elementary school, I had tripped and dropped my tray, and it was so loud in the cafeteria, and everybody saw me and everybody laughed at me. And normally on a day-to-day basis, we're not going to think or talk about like when we were little and we dropped a tray in the cafeteria and everybody saw us, right? But that's a frequency that's connected to it. It could be the original frequency, it may not, it doesn't matter, because we have what are known as memory chains, and those memory chains that we create are connected to all of that same frequency. So even if it brought that up, and let's say realistically, the original thing started when you were like 2 years old and something happened, but it's bringing up the frequency of, being 7 in grade school, that's okay. It's giving you some information, and the information it's giving you is the frequency that it's connected to. Now, do we need to really go back and heal all of that and really get down and dirty and have you relive like whatever that traumatic experience is? The truth of the matter is no. There is a faster, gentler way to do that. And so before we get into that, like I said, like I'm a psychology nerd, but I also believe in the power of healing and wanting to make people whole and come into their oneness. But I also believe that we are now in an energy and in a frequency within our world that it doesn't have to like be this long drawn out painful process. In fact, really the only thing that we need to know about it is that the subconscious is doing for us. It's saying, hey, here's a little bloop of where the frequency is connected. Great. Truthfully, that's all that we need to know. And the only reason we need to know that is not exactly what happened, is the frequency of it. The frequency of how it made us feel that then created, that then went into the body, the mind created a label in a category for it, and now we're playing it, right? So it falls into that, but we just need the frequency of it. Now that we have the frequency of it, guess what? When we start connecting to the superconscious, when we start using that intuitive energy to connect with the superconscious, we're like, superconscious, you see this event, you can see all of the memory chain events that are connected to this frequency. Let's start healing it. And now this truly is the part that takes a lot of trust. You have to trust and know and have faith that you are powerful enough for your superconscious to heal it, and that it's going to go in and it's going to pull energy from source. It's going to pull whatever healing energy or vibrations it needs to heal that. And you can experience it. You'll begin to feel it in your body, because what's happening is it's taking out that program, reprogramming it into something else that is more positive, because the higher mind and the superconscious only knows high vibe positive frequencies. So it cannot reprogram it to something that is a lower frequency. Only I'm going to say only the way that the ego brings it in, the frequency that comes in, and the way that your logical mind and your body reacts to that, then creates the lower vibrational frequency. So if you're not in alignment with who you are, you can bring in low vibrational frequencies. So if your alignment is a low vibrational frequency, and we don't naturally just walk around in low vibe. We are designed to be high vibe, but there are frequencies that we allowed to come in that are low vibrational frequencies. Well, that's what's going to keep coming in. Anyways, so now I'm like, let's move back to the superconscious. So the superconscious is like, of course I can reprogram this. Of course I can change this into something that's more positive. So now what it's doing, it's literally removing that subroutine that says, oh my God, I'm a failure, I can't do this. It's reprogramming it into whatever it could be. It could be like, oh my gosh, I remember when I was able, that even though I did something that may have seemed really silly, that I was able to confidently stand up and play it off. Or maybe I got to the point where I was so confident that it didn't even bother me. Like it didn't even faze me. Like I understand that it's life. We as humans are sometimes clumsy and we do silly things, right? Or the opinions of people don't matter to me. So it starts to create and it starts to heal this. And we won't know exactly how it's healing, but you can feel the energy and you can feel the change that's happening in your body, because we have to also pull that frequency out of your body. And when we pull that frequency out of the body, you begin to feel the transformation and the expansion that is happening. And then when we go back and let's say now I'm going to go back to public speaking, right? Because that's the thing that triggered it, that projected that out. So now I go back to public speaking and now I've got another chance to public speak. Oh my gosh. But this time you get there and you're like, okay, yeah, maybe the last time didn't work out, but like I feel differently. Like I feel like I've got this. And you can do all your prep and preparation that we all do, right? And then you stand out there, and now what happens the moment that you stand out there, you will emit this frequency, but that frequency is going to connect to the new positive subroutine that is now playing in the subconscious. Okay. And the subconscious is going to be like, man, I got this. We're confident. Yes. We are bad. Do. Fill in the blank, in a positive way. But like now you stand up there, give this speech and it's flawless, and you're looking at the people and they're so engaged, like they're so in awe and so in tune with what you're talking about that the looks on their face, like they don't even blink because they're so engaged. And then when you're done, you leave and people are like, oh my gosh, that was a great speech. You don't even know how much it resonated with me. Da 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 da, all these positive things. It's because now we have healed whatever was in that categorical box, because now that categorical box no longer exists, because if we follow the pattern down, superconscious has healed it, created a new subroutine. The subconscious says, oh, this is not what it is anymore. In fact, whatever was in that category is non-existent. The logical mind takes it in and says, oh, okay, so now this is like way positive. I'm going to put this in the confidence box. The body says, ooh, yeah, I like that frequency of confidence. Comes into the body, then expresses that as in maybe it's not feeling nervous. Maybe it's going out there going, oh my gosh, I feel so confident. I got this. No insecurity, whatever it is. The body then feeds that information to the ego. The ego says, oh yeah, I like this. The ego then projects out those frequencies that then go into the external world. The external world experiences those frequencies and then mirrors back to you the correct program that you're playing. And then we can train the ego and say, hey, ego, that other frequency that I originally had, I don't want that anymore. So anytime that it starts to come up, it's okay to kind of let it bump up against my energy field and say, hey, this is trying to come in. But ego, your job is to say, thank you for the information, but that's not what I want. I want this frequency. I'm going to pull this frequency of this higher vibe frequency of confidence in to replace what you're trying to bring in. Sounds very complicated. It really isn't once you really kind of understand the flow of it. But I'm giving you the psychological flow of it, because even in psychology, our thoughts, our words, all of that is energy, and it's all energy. So really pay attention to the thoughts that you have, the words that you speak, the energy of how your body feels. You've got to bring, and when we talk about mind, body, and soul, we're literally bringing all of that in. What we're saying is, I'm bringing in my mind, right? I'm bringing in the logical mind. I'm connecting that with my body. And when we talk about the soul, we're talking about really connecting into the essence of that superconscious or that higher mind. So we have to bring all three of those together. And the more that we understand how those work, the easier it is for us to heal and to move through that and to process that. So you may have heard me talk about before that when we talk about healing, I usually ask, well, what is it that you believe about yourself to make that be true? I always bring it back to you. What is the belief about yourself? That belief that came in is that frequency that the ego allowed to come in, that then the body kept, that then the logical mind categorized, which then the subconscious took and started creating this program, right? So what is it that I believe about myself to be true in this moment or this situation or this experience that I'm having? That's when we have to really be raw and truthful and take accountability for our piece in that, because our accountability is we chose to allow that frequency to come in. And then we chose to take it on as our own. And then we chose to believe it. So we have to, that's honestly when we start. So when you use that, I'm going to say that healing pathway of going, what is it about myself that I believe? you are then tapping in to the logical mind, the subconscious mind. And now I'm having a conversation with my superconscious saying, hey, I don't believe this to be true anymore. What is the truth? What can I replace it with? That's a more high vibrational truth that resonates with me. All right. This might have been a little bit out there, maybe a little bit more above your head. But I promise you, just hearing this is teaching and training your ego, your logical mind, your subconscious mind, and your higher mind to start working and collaborating together. Included in that is your body. So all of those will hear this and say, oh my gosh, we are in partnership. We are not separate from each other. And the moment that we can get them into partnership and start working collaboratively, the faster and easier your healing can really be. We can heal at accelerated levels. So make sure, I apologize if you hear my dog. It's the FedEx guy and he loves FedEx. So I apologize if you can hear him barking. Zoom has gotten really good at blocking out everything. So I apologize for that. But when we can get them working all on a collaborative, all on the same collaborative plane and working together, I promise you, your healing will be so much better, so much faster, so much easier. And then you can move forward to do whatever it is that you want to do to allow your soul to express however it wants to express. So I come from an entrepreneurial view. If this is what you're wanting to be successful in your business, you've got to really understand the process of healing and limiting beliefs and frequencies and how they move in and out of your body and how they work with your minds. Yes, I'm going to say plural minds. You have to understand how those work so that you can overcome those barriers to step into your business, to step into the essence of who you are, so that you can help people in the way that you want to, the way that you came here to be, the way that your soul is saying, this is what you need to do. All right, I'm going to leave you with all of that. Again, apologies if you heard my dog. Every once in a while, he wants to be part of my videos. So, so I let him be included. But anyway, oh, thank you again, everybody. As always, I'm so grateful when you tune in, when you want to listen to what I have to say and you hear it. Because I genuinely share this information because I want us to be, excuse my language, badass warriors of the world, creating beautiful impact, bringing us all together into that beautiful energy of oneness. So thank you so much. So grateful. So much love from my heart to yours. And next time, everybody, love you guys so much. All right. Bye for now.